It's beginning to rain. Look at that. And I got glare on my glasses. Woo! Let's start the video. Hello mates, Ryan here, and welcome to TechTalk, a show where I talk about tech. It's self-explanatory, don't overthink it. About a month ago, the Republic of the Philippines was rocked when ABS-CBN, the Philippines' largest network, I'm serious, this is not just a catchphrase for them, was given a cease and desist order from the National Telecommunications Commission and was promptly shut down. This whole situation is just one giant mess, really. Claims of tax evasion, foreign investors, political bias, whether or not Eugenio Lopez is Filipino enough to run a Filipino company. I do want to go on about this and share my own opinions about it, but there's this certain group of people who would ball me if I do. Plus, this is a tech show, not a news show. Go watch 24 Horas instead if you want that. But the reason why I brought up the ABS-CBN shutdown controversy is because a lot of people argued that the TV Plus DTV receiver and the exclusive channels that come with it was illegal. Some say that you need completely separate licenses from the NTC for each channel. Others say that it's the frequency of the channel that needs a license. Add to the fact that the digital ISDBT standard we use allows shoving multiple channels into one frequency, makes this all the more confusing. But it did really put the future of Filipino television at stake. Was the TV Plus receiver really that law-breaking? What would happen to the other digital TV broadcasters who have multiple channels on their frequency? Was the ABS-CBN shutdown a mirror of the ICTV shutdown in Venezuela 13 years prior? Meanwhile, GMA Loki releases this. This is the GMA Affordabox, a digital TV receiver with a super low price tag of just 888 pesos. They missed the opportunity to price it at 777 pesos. Fundamentally, the GMA Affordabox is similar to the TV Plus, but with some added bells and whistles such as HDMI support, recorder feature, support for the country's emergency broadcast warning system with an alarm of some sort, a multimedia player, and a functioning USB port. Yes! The USB port on the TV Plus is basically useless, especially the one my family has at home. Now, GMA creating a competitor to the TV Plus isn't anything new. In fact, this was 4 years in the making. GMA announcing that they will be making a TV box, quote, targeted to millennials. It was revolutionary at the time. Connected straight to the internet and you could watch your favorite Kapuso shows while tweeting about it at the same time. And when you're done, you could just sit back, relax, and rewatch the same show again on YouTube. It was supposed to take the market by storm, but what happened to it? How come after 4 years we go from this to this? Well, let's take a quick peek at it. So this GMA DTV Internet Box thing was just a mere prototype when it was first shown off at the EMAP Digicon Congress back in 2016. It was smaller than the Gen 2 TV Plus box and it seemed to have full support for HDMI as well. Judging by some of the app icons when the device was running, it seemed to be running a version of Android. Probably 4.4 KitKat or 4.2 Jelly Bean, since this was 2016 and both OS versions were still fresh in everyone's mind. Now during this time, there isn't much information given out by GMA when it comes to specs. Granted, this was just a prototype and kind of like a proof of concept more than anything. So let's just assume that it had at least the bare minimum Android can handle during this time. So half a gig of RAM and 4 gigs of storage. When it first boots up, it runs like a normal DTV box, but you hit a button and ooh, this is where the fun starts. You can immediately view all of the apps that you've downloaded over the Play Store and start running them. And like I mentioned earlier, you can run both an app and watch TV at the same time. Unfortunately, there is very little footage of the prototype in action. It was a 30-second little news blip that was aired on various programs on GMA News TV. But even then, this looks awesome. Tech sites like Yugatech picked up on the story, and eager Kapusos like myself waited for any news for this to come out. And then one US presidential term later, we got a TV Plus Plus. There were a couple of teasers that were made by GMA CEO Felipe Gozon back in 2018 with an expected release date of 2019, but that was about it. In the words of PewDiePie, it evolved, just backwards. So that was about it for the GMA DTV Internet Box. If Globe didn't go their way and make a version of their own, this still would have been a revolutionary product. A true TV Plus killer. Well, I guess we'll have to sell it with the Affordabox. I would have bought one myself. But What if GMA delayed the DTV Internet Box for a short while and released the Affordabox to reinvigorate interest? I'm no sales guy, but that would have made a lot of sense to me. Plus, they patented the device as well. Would have been a total waste if they did just put it out to market when they've done so much research and development onto it. Actually, come to think of it, it has happened quite a few times, has it? Not by GMA, but other companies.
The Cisco Flip Live, -1 days.
-1 days. -1 days.
So let's try and speculate what would be the latest version of the GMA DTV Internet Box if they were to release it in the near future. Let's first start off with the name. Since GMA went with Affordabox for whatever reason, let's just go along those lines for consistency's sake. I initially went with GMA Affordabox Plus, but I thought that would be too similar to the TV Plus. So instead, I took a page from Nintendo's naming handbook and decided to call it the Affordabox I. I standing for Internet, of course. It's a streaming box and a DTV receiver. Naming can't get any simpler than that. Let's move on to specs. The GMA Affordabox I will be running on regular Android, preferably 9 or 10. Android TV would have done the job just fine, but I think functionality on it is a little bit limited. Plus, not all apps on the Play Store isn't available on Android TV, and we still need to keep the ability to run the DTV functionality and the Android app at the same time, which luckily normal Android has by default. Now, because this is running on a newer version of Android, let's beef up the internals of the Affordabox I. So we're talking about a minimum of 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of storage that's expandable using a USB flash drive. Speaking of those, there's going to be at least 3 of them there, in case someone decides to plug a keyboard and mouse onto it. An off-the-shelf MediaTek octa-core processor would run just fine on the Affordabox I, and would include both Wi-Fi and LTE to connect itself to the net. Other than that, maybe we can include both an HDMI and an RCA connector for video. Makes sense since a lot of Filipino homes still have a CRT TV inside. And lastly, the price. Right on the dot, 1,499 pesos. I figured it would make sense to put it right at the same price as the TV Plus to give the customer a choice between the two. Do you want a bare bones digibox with limited functionality and a bunch of exclusive channels? Or do you want a digibox that's also a smartphone for your TV? Your choice. And that about it ends for this episode of Tech Talk. Thank you so much for watching the start of Season 2. Yes, this is the 2nd season. The 1st season is at my main channel, Ronan at Vian. Keep in mind though that it is a little bit bad. It was totally unscripted and it was originally news, but this new Tech Talk is going to be, well, just tech discussions, I guess. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like if you want to. I don't mind if you don't. And if you want more content like this, subscribe to Ronan at Vian 2. That's about it. This has been Ronan at Vian, signing out.